Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
In this half hour, being brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drink, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And the pickle bar, led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. And by the way, ready to drink cocktails like High Noon, Crown Royal, and Jack Daniels, all of which were needed in the previous segment with Matt. All right. What? Ace, come on. Tell me I'm wrong, Todd.
You are not wrong.
All right. Neal Coolong, always the voice of reason, intelligence, and a good friend. Welcome, sir. I know he's there. You told me he was. There he is. I hear him. Hello, Neal.
He's there somewhere. I'm hiding out.
Somebody you forgot to hit the right button.
It's good. It's great to have you on, Neal. Welcome.
As always, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Philadelphia this week. All right, so here we go. This will be the game to talk about. So the last performance against Cleveland, what did you like? What were you unsure of this deep into the season watching them play?
In fact, again, it's a defense that was able to create opportunities to help out an offense that it looked at times pretty overwhelmed. They're able to make plays on, frankly, a quarterback who's probably lost more than just his fastball. The errant throws that Winston made, they made it pay for. And with that, they're able to kind of pull away later in the game against a team that really they should beat. So they took care of business. I think where they got to that point, unlike the last couple seasons, they're not having to fight an uphill battle late in the year. Now they've kind of established themselves. And really, with the exception of, you can make the argument, Cincinnati kind of, maybe to some degree, they've got nothing but playoff games from here on out till the end of their season.
Right.
So,
agreed.
Yep. They got this one out of the way, I think, to set themselves up, which they were going to need to do. I mean, really, if you look at it, with the exception of Kansas City at home, this is a low-seeded run to the playoffs. Those are 3 high-level contenders in a row, with the only benefit being they get the Chiefs at home. It doesn't really seem to matter to anybody else where you play the Chiefs. Right. They're going to find a way to beat you. So it's a real tough setup of games with Cincinnati coming in the season finale. So they needed this one. They needed to have a sharp performance. They started off kind of cold, but stuck with the things that they knew were going to work, and eventually they were able to break through. They got past some adversity late. That Cordero Patterson fumble didn't help things at all, but they were able to stay on schedule with what they were doing and take care of business. It's a game that a contender absolutely would win, and they'd win by 2 touchdowns the way that they did.
Does Wilson, because he's been there, done it, he's won a Super Bowl, he's quarterbacked in another one, is he playing like a guy with the experience that you would expect at this point? Yeah,
I mean, if you look at it, we get to see this every week, and I don't know if this is just like Stockholm syndrome for me or what, but when you have a team that hasn't seen good quarterback play in as long as the Steelers have, Wilson does stuff every week that makes you really excited to continue watching. And even with the bad starts, you have faith that he's going to be able to rebound. I think a lot of that you file under the experience umbrella. You know, there's not much that rattles him. Right. He stays consistent. He was playing his best in this game at the end of the game. And keep in mind, this is a defense that completely stifled him just 2 weeks ago. They figured out a way to be able to beat that. And I think the good part of it was Wilson staying on top of what he needed to stay on top of. He played good, solid football. I don't think it was his best performance overall, but what you get from him each week is, it matters drive to drive. You know, he's not going to be, rough stretch there in the first half, but you have faith that he's going to break through that eventually. Made some real good throws to get out of it. And with that, propelled the team in the second half. Took advantage of the takeaways that they got, which you need to do. You know, convert those into points, get another long field goal from Chris Boswell. Every little bit helps. And the cumulative effect with Wilson under center, I think, compared to the past, keeps them in games. That's the difference between, 17 points a game and 27 points a game. All three phases are making plays, and Wilson's really kind of, from what we've seen to this point, the tip of the spear in that effort.
Okay, so it's not as if they haven't faced a great running back this season. They saw Derrick Henry already. Now they have to see Saquon Barkley. Your opinion about the Steelers' run defense when they have faced a quality back?
I think we've seen them spread out a bit, open-ended down. Teams have run well on them, I think. First in 10, second in mid. They've given up plays. Linebackers, I think, get pulled in different directions. Some of that is Peyton Wilson acclimating to the role that they've asked him to play, especially on passing downs. They're getting gouged a little bit with that. And one thing that Nick Sirianni does really well, he mixes that up. Barkley, I think, is having his best year as a pro situationally, largely because the Eagles are able to do a lot of different things on a variety of downs. They're very hard to prepare for play to play, and that's going to be a challenge. Barkley obviously is an excellent talent, and he always has been. It's what Philadelphia has been able to do as an offensive team schematically sets him up for a lot of that success. They're able to get him in even running situations. They're able to put him in space, and he goes out and makes plays. So that's dangerous against anybody. I'm not 100% convinced the Steelers have an excellent run defense snap to snap. I think overall they've tended to shut down whoever it is for whatever reason it is. They get better as the game goes on. They seem to improve their looks. They get a good sense of what a team is doing. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Philadelphia come out running the ball aggressively early in this game and really try to cut the tempo down, and from there aim to take away big plays from the Steelers offense and make this a 16-10 type of game, which Philadelphia can win just as well as Pittsburgh can. So Barkley, I think, is the key to it all, and how they use him and what they're going to do in early downs to mix things up and get him in space into even running situations. They've made a living on this and the streak that they're on. Also a very good team at dragging teams down to the bottom of the ocean and mucking it up. Pittsburgh's just like that as well. As they say, style makes fights. I think you've got two excellent contrasting teams in that regard. I think it's going to be a really good football game.
Joey Porter Jr., and if anybody knows this is me, because obviously the hundreds of times I watched him practice as well as play games, he is an outstanding DB with speed, length, but he can be handsy. He's still handsy at this level. What kind of issues is it creating for him? Because that's a habit.
I think you're right. I think it is a habit. I think that's the way he plays the game.
I know.
I would say this. There isn't a man cornerback that has any success in the NFL that's not quote-unquote handsy.
Right.
That's the
right.
way the game is played. The penalties are, in my opinion, I watched Joey Porter. What I think of is just how hyperactive he is. The longer the route, it's almost like he panics. He doesn't have full confidence in his athleticism. But he has a tremendous amount of confidence in his length. So he likes to keep a guy close, but it's more, I'm going to be able to make a play on the ball in the guy's hands. He's not, he's not a takeaway guy. You don't see him making a lot of plays on the ball where he can pick it off. It's more, I'm preventing the catch where it is. If players take him deeper down the field, it seems like he gets closer. Then he starts grabbing. I don't know how necessary it is. It's almost like that's when he's getting flagged. The inside stuff, it's tough in this league to handle these receivers nowadays. Hard slants, skinny posts, those are real tough man routes to handle with the size and speed of today's NFL receiver. And he's still getting acclimated to that. I don't think it should be a big surprise. I mean, it's funny. I happened to be looking into this recently, but J.C. Horn with the Carolina Panthers was a top 10 pick, high level prospect, great size, great athleticism. He's still getting knocked around a little bit. It doesn't mean that he's not potentially a very good player. It takes a bit sometimes with NFL cornerbacks that have those traits to really figure out how to play the game at the pro level. And a lot of it is figuring out when to let go, when to find the ball, to know the ball is coming, get off the receiver, and go up and make a play. Porter is at that point, I think. He's got to continue to work. They believe in him. He's shown plenty of times he can be an excellent corner for 4 quarters. Yep. But it seems like when it rains, it pours in terms of penalties. I mean, he got his 7th penalty in 6 quarters before halftime against Cleveland.
Yeah, that's right.
That's insane. Yeah. That's not even the first time that in his career that he's had 6 penalties in a game like he did last week. So to me, it's more like he's got to learn to trust himself, his positioning, and his technique. And I don't know if he has that confidence just yet.
What do you think of Jalen Hurts to this point? I mean, look, I know they're winning. I've got it. But I think you take Barkley away, and you're not going to take Barkley away. He's there. You take Barkley away, I think Philadelphia's struggling in a lot of games. Now, that's my opinion. When you watch him as more of a neutral – well, I'm a neutral observer as well because I really don't care who wins the game. But I feel like he struggles.
I think overall I would tend to agree. Because really, I mean, it's – perhaps convenient, if not unfair, to say this, but if you want to look at Jalen Hurts without Saquon Barkley, look at last year. Look at the last 8 games of last year. Something bad happened there. That things aren't working in a lot of ways in Philadelphia, and Barkley has given them a 3-down dynamic that kind of opens up everything else. Now, one might argue if you get a good all-around 3-down running back, you open things up for everybody else. The struggle is the 3-down, high-volume running backs don't tend to last the whole season. Teams don't get used to that, and with that, the position is kind of devalued to the point where you use multiple guys in those roles, but it's not quite the same. You can do that. You can move guys in and out, but when you have one guy who's just a killer in the run game and the pass game, your quarterback tends to get a lot better. And a large part of that is because, I mean, if we want to put this in Steelers terms, you look what happened pre-injury / contract situation to Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers to when he wasn't there. 2018, the last stand of Antonio Brown. And Antonio Brown had, I think, as far as an individual player goes, the best season of his career in 2018. He was asked to do the most. He was getting blanketed down the field. And he still came up with big plays constantly. 2017, 2016, when you have Lev in there, the safety's occupied with Bell the whole time. And the reason I bring this up, it just crossed my mind, it was the 7-8 year anniversary of that 95-yard touchdown pass from Roethlisberger to Martavis Bryant against Cincinnati.
Right.
That play was, and Steelers fans love this play. It was a great play. That play was made entirely because of the motion they ran, or the play action they ran with Bell. And you see the safety coming down out of the formation that they're in. Ben recognized it, called for the audible, gave the play fake to Bell, and the linebacker and the safety both went to Bell. And Bryant was wide open with Leon Hall, who was like my age at that point, and Bryant absolutely fried him. When you have the running back that's able to draw that kind of attention from the back players, not the linebackers, the back players, you're opening something up. And right now, you're going to see a lot of Deshaun Elliott on Saquon Barkley. You're going to have to. So if Jalen Hurts is able to make those throws, or maybe more importantly, make those reads, find the situation where he can isolate one player somewhere else and shift around everything that he needs to. And I would imagine he's got some control over that within Philadelphia's offense. Then you become a dangerous quarterback. And maybe to some degree you get more credit than you really deserve, and the running back is truly the one that's drawing a lot of that. Maybe that's what's happening in Philadelphia. I'd have to really dig in to see that. But what I know is Jalen Hurts is a very smart player. They move the ball around quite a bit. There are a lot of different guys that are able to make an impact there. And when he is making those smart decisions and he's playing error-free football, they're a very difficult offense to stop. It might not be a 40-point-a-game offense, but they're potent. There's a lot of things that they can do. They can control the ball and really keep you down and out for 4 quarters. And that's, to me, the difference now to them is Barkley, the ability to draw in, back-end coverage, back-end attention to what he's doing, opening up everything else. And with that, Hurts seems to be making the right decisions of where to go with the ball, and he's doing pretty well.
Look, the Steelers have a cushion here in the division because of what they've done and what Baltimore hasn't done. So how do you view this game as to where it fits into the scheme for the Steelers?
You want to look at it literally as far as tiebreakers go. Your NFC games are the least important beyond the obvious win and loss. In other words, if you're going to lose games, you want to lose the NFC team if you're an AFC team. A road game in the NFC team, a road game against an NFC team against a 1 or 2 seed isn't you don't tend to look at that as the end of the world. But it's a litmus test, I think, against a high-level opponent in crunch time. I said this before. I mean, the schedule's changed a little bit. Maybe it's not exactly that, but by about week 11, after week 11, that's when the season starts for contenders. For the Steelers, it's going to be week 15 this year because they have a murderer's row the rest of the way, and they're going to have to figure out whether or not they're for real. Beating Cleveland at home is kind of expected if you're at the level that they are. Philadelphia is a very good all-around team, and I think with that, you want to judge how they do. And again, I say this a lot, and I know that Joe Sweatsock, the average NFL fan, doesn't listen to it, but it's not always results-based. You got to look at how they do what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing, and know what that is before you look at the outcome. So I would say this. I think there is a better-than-average chance they don't get completely boat raced the way that they did the last time they played Philadelphia. And if nothing else, that shows excellent progress. And the season's not over, win or lose this game this weekend. But Steelers have a puncher's chance for sure. Philadelphia's a good team. I think it's going to come down to play late in it to see which of these teams can put together 4 quarters against a good opponent. I think Philadelphia is the same challenge Pittsburgh does.
Yeah. Is there any way to utilize beyond just everyone like Justin Fields, or are you playing with fire because 2 quarterbacks? I
think it's tough.
Yeah,
I think there are opportunities for a player of Fields' stature, but I would argue overall, if Justin Fields was a better passer,
Yes.
He probably would have a starting job, whether that's in Pittsburgh or elsewhere. I'm choosing my words carefully here. I'm not trying to say that he's walking garbage or anything, but
I think you're right.
For the first time since Roethlisberger's elbow snapped, there was somebody in Pittsburgh who could consistently throw the ball, and that was Russell Wilson, not Justin Fields. Fields is okay, but if you're going to put him out there, he needs to be able to do everything. And a lot of that, especially situationally, you need to be able to know where to go with the ball. And in my opinion, when Fields is on the move, as a runner, he's dangerous. As a passer, he's a liability. And with that, it becomes harder to scheme something up where it's simple, it's easy, it's a one-read thing, while still utilizing his legs. In other words, he has to be able to see everything that's happening in front of him while he's moving. And I did not get a great sense of confidence unless it's a designed run, which when he's come in the game, that's what it's been. They haven't even given him a passing option to this point. There's a reason for that. If they had more confidence in him being able to throw the ball, if he was reading the field better, I think they would utilize him situationally perhaps a little bit more often than they do. Right. At the same time, though, we've talked about this. My thought is if Justin Fields is good enough to be able to run and throw in that situation, maybe he should be good enough to be the starting quarterback. Conversely, if Russell Wilson is noticeably worse than the backup quarterback situationally, why is he your starter? You don't want to have to answer those kinds of questions. So it's kind of,
I agree.
It's probably better off overall to stick with what you're doing and make their situational game better. I know that's simple and it's kind of coach speak, but you got to get better at what you're doing with your starter, not rely on your backup to do things you're paying your starter to do.
Right. No, I understand that because I am probably the only college broadcaster that has to identify the quarterback on every play. Sometimes it's Tyler Warren, sometimes it's Bo Previola. 9 times out of 10, it's Drew Aller. So I'm only asking because I live it.
The challenges of that, I think, that's an interesting side conversation. From the broadcaster's perspective, you can draw out a bit of what the coach has to do. The defensive coordinator has to do, but the coach has to prepare to do to show them all that and make sure that they're all ready to do it. Are you used to doing that? I mean, you kind of go back into like old school baseball where the relief pitcher really wasn't that big of a deal, and it was more like a guy came in relief when the starter was hurt. Otherwise they threw 300 pitches a game. The call it the spot quarterback, the relief quarterback. There's a sense that he's not warm, he's not into the game, he's not seeing the defense. I think there are arguments on both sides to say if you're asking him to do this one thing situationally, this is his assignment. He's prepared to do it. He should be prepared to do it. It's not a 100-meter dash. You have to warm up for an hour before you do it. He should be prepared to do that. But when you add in 3 quarterbacks, different things, that's a lot for a defense. And maybe more so than the defense, the coaching staff. They have to identify all of that. That's tough to do. That's hard. I give you credit for having to do that.
No. I mean, it Warren's the tight end. I mean, he's going to be playing in the NFL next year. But they use him sometimes at quarterback, so it's whether he's thrown some, he's run some, whatever. So you'd have to watch Penn State more to understand. But the question is more of a college question than a pro question because the pros don't do what Penn State does. Neal, as always, sir, we value your greatness. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
This half hour brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
The holidays are a time of year to celebrate and reflect. Reflect on the past year, a year filled with challenges and uncertainty. Uncertainty that bred resilience and hope. Hope for healing, change, new beginnings, and unity. United as one people, one community, by one mission, to safeguard and protect what matters most. From all of us at Purdy Insurance, we wish you health, happiness, and joy this holiday season and success in the new year.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
This half hour being brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket, imports domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. Pickle bar led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. And now ready to drink cocktails like High Noon, Crown Royal, and Jack Daniels. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Tom Perkovich joins us now, the head coach at Susquehanna. Bethel, Saturday at noon. And in fact, here at Rutgers, Mike Rhodes and I were talking about that game coming up Saturday at noon because they got a walk-off win. What a moment that had to be. Let me start with this for you, Perk, and it's this simple. You find out in adversity what your team is made of. On the road, what did they show you last weekend?
Well, I mean, it started in the first quarter, Steve, right? We were down 10, come back and score, go down 10 again. And then, we got a big stop there before the half, as they were kind of marching into our territory on a fourth down. Defense got a stop, and then we went down the field and tied it right going into half, 10 seconds to go or something like that. So, that momentum shift was big, but our kids, definitely persevered. And then, to be up 14 in the fourth, and obviously we didn't end the game in a couple chances we had, and we gave a good team a chance to claw back into the game. But, I knew if we could get the ball back there at the end, with over 3 minutes to go, that we had a shot to win the game, which was all we asked for. It was a shot to win it in the fourth against a really good team, and we were there and thought our kids handled it well. I thought our staff managed the clock well and with what we were doing, and just a momentous win for our program, our alumni, all these players here.
Did you actually watch the kick, or?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you actually watched it. Okay. Some guys will I don't want to watch it. Right? And again, also you get hit in the back, and they go, hey, okay, it's good.
No, I watched it. I had all the confidence in our guys. Been kicking it really well for a number of weeks here, and we told them you might get iced on the first one. I thought they'd call the timeout. They did, because they had three timeouts at that point, I believe.
Right.
We figured he would, and then just told him it was going to happen. Just said go out there and kick it. Obviously, we had gotten it down to 2 seconds, so it was either make it and win or go to overtime and play more football. So.
Right.
But I was confident. Our guys were confident that Dom would, bang it through there, and it was just a great moment for him. I think he said it was the first game-winning kick he's ever had. So kind of a really special moment there to do that in the Sweet 16.
But there's another part to it, too. It's the whole operation. Your snapper put it on the money. Your holder put it down. They protected. The whole operation did the job for you.
Yeah, for sure. Going into the game, this was a unit I was a bit worried about. They really came after it. They had some big guys up front, and our guys hung in and stayed low and did just enough there. And and our snapper, to give him credit, he botched a punt snap earlier in the game that wasn't great, and just was able to kind of block it out. His teammates did a great job of continuing to just give him, positive vibes. The holder's been doing a great job too, Tommy Wright, and the operation is something we work on a lot here. Is our special teams, and it showed up obviously in a huge moment to put us into the Elite Eight.
Look, you've played a lot of football, and it's been week after week. How have you handled practices at this time? I mean, I know you probably have to grapple over, okay, do I want to cut back 30 seconds here, maybe a minute there? How are you handling it?
Yeah, we're definitely lighter, but we've been lighter since probably, week 10, 11 of our season. We cut some things back. We were lighter in the bye week leading up to the second round of the playoffs, and we've kept with that, And after a game like that, our offense ran 85 plays and in a super physical game. I mean, there were some really big hits, great hits, just really physical play. And, now this week, I think we won't practice more than 90 minutes any day this week. It'll be there'll be some walkthroughs. There'll be some, more scout periods and things like that we'll do. But, at this time of year, it's get them to Saturday. We know what we're doing. We got to adjust some things to what they do, but we've got to get them to Saturday. We're tired, we're banged up, and I know they will be too, right? So it's both sides, and but our goal is try to get our guys mentally ready a little bit more than physically at this time of the year. So more mental with meetings, more mental with how we practice, and just getting them ready to play and be the best version of ourselves come Saturday.
You're obviously performing at a high level because you're playing teams that are also at a high level. What has it told everybody about Susquehanna football that you're winning at the level you are winning at because of the competition you're facing?
Well, I think it starts with just how well we prepare, and our process is really good here. I think it also bleeds to the type of people we recruit here. We recruit guys that love football, that really will pour their heart and soul into it, and so even when there are mismatches, even when, on paper the other team's better, our guys are going to come out and play hard, and they're going to come out and execute what we want, stay poised and collected, and know that we're a damn good football team. I think, but it's the character of our players, the character of our coaches, and guys that work really hard and think that, hard work does pay off. That's not just a saying. We believe it here in Selinsgrove, and so, it showed up, and it has showed up for years. This isn't, 1 year. Obviously it's a 1 year with the playoffs, but, we've been doing this. I think this is the 5th out of the last 6 years we've beaten a top 10 team, and it's our 50th win in the last 5 years, which is hats off to our players, and our seniors became the winningest class in school history in 125 seasons of football. So, we've got the right people. I think I'm always people-oriented and process-oriented with how we operate, and just really proud of our guys on how they have come out and stayed, in my opinion, different than the last 2 years, a lot more calm, a lot more collected, a lot more, not hitting the panic button like we may have the last couple of seasons in the playoffs. We got it under our belt. There is a process to things, and, just really proud of our guys and staff on how we've been able to get through that.
Let me ask you about the process of coach preparation. It's one thing for me to sit there and give you a schedule, and you will have assistants and other members of the staff get ready because, in week 8 you're playing this team, you're week 12, whatever. But this is a week-by-week basis. Now, you knew you were going to play the winner of the other game. How do you beforehand, determine who you want scouting that team. So you got the breakdown, you're set to go, and when the kids get back, you can give them the information they need as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different here at this level than, at Penn State maybe, where they've got a boatload of staff, that can do that.
Right.
We literally don't do anything on the next opponent until we get to Sunday. The playoff rule here is you only get 3 games from the other opponent, not all the games, on PFF or anything like that. So it's a little different for us. Our young guys will break down the tape on Sunday. We'll go, obviously, look at our last game and pour through that a little bit. But for the next opponent, we literally get the tapes from the other team on Sunday. Those guys break them down. We get in here Monday. We spend Monday almost all day Monday looking at our first and second down game plans and what we want to do there. And then, today as a Tuesday, we'll be practice that, and then tonight we'll start looking at third downs and red zone and short yardage at the goal line. And then get that done tomorrow in practice, and then really kind of repeat things on Thursday and button things up. But we're we're literally in a rat race, come Sunday to Tuesday to get, the game plan, for the most part ready to go and let our guys know what's going on and adjust,
That's why I asked, because I knew, it's different resources, different levels. That's why I asked, because I'm thinking, okay, how do you do this? Because, I know Penn State does it, but as you said, they have – somebody asked me beforehand, when did they figure out Oregon? I said they had stuff on Oregon ahead of time. You guys don't have that. So what is the initial read on Bethel?
Very good team. They're here for a reason. They're really big, athletic, and long. They've got some really good-looking kids. They do some things that give you fits, from their defensive perspective. They've got some guys that can really run around and are athletic. They got a first-team All-American safety who makes a lot of plays for them. They pride themselves on stopping the run big time, and so they'll be playing downhill. So we're gonna have to figure some of that out for us. And but they're tough and physical for sure. And then offensively, they're a tempo unit, so they're going to go fast, kind of like Tennessee. And what Tennessee does with some of the wide formations and splits, and but they'll run it down your throat if they've got the numbers in the box. So we got a big back, big old line. The quarterback, does a really good job with the RPO game, getting it out on screens and other things. So, definitely test you for 53 and a third on the width of the field, and then some vertical game. But, they're a talented unit for sure.
How much do you like to give your players? Because it's not what you know, it's what they know. So how much do you try to give them during the course of a week, and in a particular week like this? How much information do you give them? How much do you water it down? Can you get deep? What can you do?
Well, I try to work the percentages on what, we have on film, right? So as we look at people, what are the things they do the most? A friend and I used to talk about it all the time. Don't coach the 5%, right? So don't try to go down the rabbit hole of the one time they ran this or the one time they ran this. And, I think you start to confuse the players, or you start to adjust to a clip that, could have been a total bust by the other team, right? So, so we try to talk about the main things they do, the high percentage, fronts and stunts and blitzes, or here's the top pass concepts and, run concepts from a defensive standpoint. So we try to keep it there as much as we can. And I think we've done a better job of that this year than maybe any other year I've coached. Is just trying to give them the meat and potatoes, and here's what they're going to do. And then our staff has done a really good job of trying to not chase the ghost that you can, or not overthink.
Yeah.
But then when Saturday comes, if there is a wrinkle, hey, how are we going to adjust to that wrinkle? That would be the one thing I would say about the sideline iPad systems that were approved for everyone. this past year. That has helped it from an in-game adjustment standpoint immensely. Instead of waiting until Sunday to see that you missed something, or you thought you were seeing this, but it really was this, or this guy was making this mistake. You can see it in real time and make those adjustments, and I think that's something that we've leaned on, and it's helped immensely for our staff to make those adjustments when they give us something new on game day.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I remember Penn State, if this was a basketball reference, and they were getting ready to play Ohio State, and in the scout, he says, now they ran this play 2 years ago. It's a great play for them, but they haven't run it all year. And my first thought was, this group is not going to absorb that. They're like, what? They're not going to. I just got to turn around. I don't think so. Is there a couple players that have elevated their game for you at this stage that have really made a difference in you winning right now?
Sure. I mean, we've got, guys playing at a high level, and we have all year, with certain guys. Kyle House at receiver has really turned up his game here in the playoffs. Not just from catching the ball, but I think he's done a really good job blocking for us too. And he actually recovered 2 fumbles on Saturday. Opportunistic things that really helped us in bad situations. He was there. He was playing hard, and got rewarded for it and helped us out. Obviously, the running back for Sean Lamont has been over 150 a game, rushing the last 2 weeks and 4 touchdowns. I mean, when you got that guy there, I've been really happy. And our left tackle, I think, has really upped his game, Nick Gonzalez. I know I say that. He's a 4-time all-conference player, and he'll be all-region again, hopefully all-American. But he's played really well against some really good people here in the playoffs. So I've been really happy with those guys offensively. Quarterback's been, he's been on fire all year. So not really an elevation, but, he's done a great job of is protecting the football. And so he hasn't turned it over, which is big, and hopefully we continue that. Defensively, been really happy with Bryant Layton, our defensive tackle. I think he's played really well, really elevated his game. And then this past Saturday, we had an injury and made a change at our boundary side outside linebacker position, which we called a hawk. And, we called on a senior who had never started for us before. Had played inside linebacker mostly, but, we needed something there. We needed a spark, and man, did he make it on Saturday. Logan Arnold is his name. He came out, was the player of the game for us on defense, and had a huge hit, one of the best hits I've seen in a very long time. Made some great tackles for us and just stepped his game up. And for a guy that hasn't played, has been more of a special teams guy for us. He played a lot and just elevated his game, and I think he makes us a better football team for sure.
Well, I'm thrilled for you. I'm thrilled for the entire program. Noon on Saturday. Get a big crowd out there for this game. It's a chance to go to the national semifinals, the Final Four. I wish you nothing but the best, and thanks a lot for your time today. I really appreciate that in a prep week like this you gave us time.
Absolutely, Steve, and I appreciate you guys highlighting our program over the last couple of weeks, and all the support for everyone out there. But please come to the stadium, see a great game. I think it's the only game in Pennsylvania being played Saturday.
Yes,
I believe only football game being played in the state. So, hopefully, people come out and see a really good brand of football and support the Riverhawks.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time, and let's get a big crowd out there.
Thank you.
Boy, that was, you know what? They play for the love of the game. We talk about the love of the game. These guys, they love to play football. They're not there if there's no NIL, things like that. They just play because they love to play football. Man, it's great. Go on out and support them. Noon on Saturday. We'll wrap it up in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
The holidays are a time of year to celebrate and reflect. Reflect on the past year, a year filled with challenges and uncertainty. Uncertainty that bred resilience and hope. Hope for healing, change, new beginnings, and unity. United as one people, one community, by one mission, to safeguard and protect what matters most. From all of us at Purdy Insurance, we wish you health, happiness, and joy this holiday season and success in the new year.